Should the government adopt universal childcare? Hi everyone, today I'd like to discuss a policy that has become increasingly important in labor economics, family policy, and demographic studies. Should governments provide universal childcare services for all families? Across much of the developed world, governments face two interconnected challenges: declining birth rates and aging populations. At the same time, many parents, particularly mothers, encounter significant obstacles when attempting to balance employment with family responsibilities. These developments have prompted growing interest in universal childcare, a system in which governments guarantee affordable or free early childhood care regardless of household income. Supporters argue that universal childcare generates substantial positive externalities. While parents receive the immediate benefit of childcare services, society also benefits through higher labor force participation, greater tax revenue, and improved child development. Without affordable childcare, many highly skilled individuals reduce working hours or leave the labor market entirely. This represents a significant loss of human capital, especially in economies already experiencing labor shortages. Another important argument concerns female labor force participation. Empirical research consistently shows that accessible childcare increases employment among parents of young children. As more individuals remain economically active, household incomes rise and governments collect additional tax revenue while reducing dependence on social assistance. Some economists therefore argue that universal childcare partially finances itself through stronger long-term economic growth. Child development also deserves careful consideration. High-quality early childhood education contributes to language acquisition, cognitive development, and social skills. Children who participate in effective preschool programs often perform better academically and experience improved labor market outcomes later in life. Because these benefits extend across decades, investment in early childhood education may yield exceptionally high social rates of return. However, critics question whether universal provision represents the most efficient policy. Some families prefer to care for young children at home rather than using institutional childcare. If government finance universal services through taxation, households that rarely use childcare may effectively subsidize those who do. Critics therefore advocate targeted assistance, focusing public resources on lower-income families rather than providing identical benefits to everyone. Another concern involves fiscal sustainability. Establishing nationwide child care systems requires substantial public expenditure on facilities, educator training, and ongoing operating costs. Countries with aging populations already face increasing demand for healthcare and pensions. Expanding childcare programs may therefore require higher taxes or difficult budgetary trade-offs. Quality also matters. Expanding access rapidly without sufficient investment in qualified educators may reduce the effectiveness of childcare programs. Universal access alone does not guarantee positive developmental outcomes. In my opinion, governments should regard childcare not merely as social welfare, but as an investment in future economic capacity. Nevertheless, success depends on maintaining the high educational standards while preserving parental choice. Families should remain free to select the arrangement that best suits their circumstances, whether public childcare, private providers, or home-based care. Ultimately, childcare policy influences far more than family life. It shapes labor markets, demographic trends, educational outcomes, and long-term economic growth. As societies confront population aging and declining fertility, the way government supports families may become one of the most consequential policy decisions of the 21st century. So here's my question. Should governments provide universal childcare to maximize labor force participation and child development, or should childcare remain primarily the responsibility of individual families? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for listening. See you next time.